All right, everyone. Happy Thursday. I know the lights are giving you all of the brightness and stuff. I couldn't figure that out, but listen, I am here. You already know who it is, but in case you forgot, I do not mind giving you a slight reminder. It's your best friend, your good Judy, your next door neighbor, your niece, your nephew, your cousin, your great auntie, your gunkle, and now an author, Norman J. Liverpool IV, and I am the Confident Lifestyle Coach. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Coaching and Cocktails. Normally I would have this in a glass because I'm not doing no advertising, but this is what I'm having on tonight. So one of the things that's been so amazing about my journey as a coach is being able to work with coaches in various areas of expertise. One of the coaches that I am, and she's here tonight, is Mari Preciado Gutierrez. And she is known as the debt slayer. Now, I don't know about you, honey, but I have some debt to slay. And so the reason why we're partnering for this coaching and cocktails is because we recognize that there is and there can be a connection between confidence and your finances. And so we wanted to come together as a group tonight and just offer some hot seat coaching. So if you have a question for Madi or myself, you can put it in the comments, or you can email me at norman@overthetopliving.com, or just shoot me a direct message. If not, we're just going to be offering value and doing some hot seat coaching right here live. So without further ado, I am going to bring Miss Mari Preciado Gutierrez on, and then we're just going to get right into it. So please welcome my special guest, Mari.
Hi, Norman. How are
Hey, girl.
you?
Hey. So I know I told people you're the debt slayer, but go ahead and feel free to introduce yourself to the people.
I'm Mari Preciado Gutierrez. You can all just call me Mari. I'm from the Bay Area. I'll tell you a little bit of how I got started with my debt-free journey. I like to bring humor into my story because humor and laughter and loving myself has been part of my healing process. So I like to say that I had front row seats on Mess Mountain. I was riding that roller coaster of my ups and downs in life. I was shopping until I dropped. I think I started when I was 18 when I got my very first credit card. I didn't know how to manage my money. I didn't know how to take care of it. I didn't have a good relationship with money. And I call it my coming to Jesus moment when I was 32 years old. I didn't have a retirement account. I had zero money saved up. And, it took a couple more years for me to start working on myself and figuring out what it is that I really wanted to do in this life. And I started when I was 36. I think I had over $35,000 in credit card debt. I took $10,000 out of my retirement account and I was planning my wedding. That was a very hard pill to swallow. And I was faced with two options at that point: keep doing what I was doing and be
Mhm.
unhappy, or take responsibility for my actions and start working on myself. And that's exactly what I did. I started to heal because there was a lot of things that I was holding back. There was a lot of trauma in my childhood, and you don't think about it, but traumas that you experience as a child, they do affect you in adulthood if you
Yeah.
don't get the proper therapy or you work on yourself. And that's exactly what was happening to me. I don't blame anybody. I don't blame my parents. They did the best that they could.
So
And
let's get,
mhm.
I was going to say, then we can get right into it because there is such a difference in working on ourselves and doing the things for ourselves. So, what was like that pivotal point that said, you know what? I not only need to do this for me, but now I need to teach other people to do what I've learned to do.
You know, when I was getting ready for marriage, that's when I really was faced with my reality. And I didn't want to bring my financial mess into it because I loved myself way too much. But at that point, I think I didn't honor that. I didn't realize that. And I wanted to work on being my best self. It's important when you are coming into a marriage or a relationship that the first relationship that you need to have in order is the relationship with yourself.
Right.
If you are not happy single, you're not going to be happy in a relationship because having a significant partner is not going to bring you happiness.
No.
You are.
Right.
And I think that was the first thing for me was that I needed to honor that relationship with myself and heal it.
And you know what was so interesting for me is it was very similar on my confidence journey.
Hmm.
Well, I realized that I had to do the work for me and work on my confidence because I felt like for a while I was living in this false sense of confidence that basically was like, I'm confident and you're not. And I'm going to show up and be, this and that. And that's not what confidence is. And so I agree that you definitely have to first, as my mom would say, when you go on a plane and the masks come down, they say, put your mask on first and then begin to help the people around you. So, in terms of our finances and our confidence, we've got to put our own mask on first, begin to heal and make sure that we're good, and then we can worry about other people. Would you agree?
100%. You hit the nail on the wall. And that's exactly what I started to do. You know, I did like an inventory of my life, of my beliefs, of my patterns and my behaviors, and I got to work. I've been doing my own healing and, working with the coach for 2 years,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it's been a beautiful process. So then I started to work on my finances, and believe it or not, Norman, when I got into the the finances with my coach, you know her, Carmen Rosas. I
Mm-hmm.
did her program, and we were looking at different areas of our lives. Finances came up, and I resisted it. I didn't want to take that deep dive. And when you resist something, you're resisting it for a reason, but at the same time, if you get past that resistance and you do the work, there's so much transformation that happens.
So let's stay there for a minute. Why don't you talk to the people that are watching right now and they're like, I need some coaching. So what do you tell those people who are like, I hear you, Mari, but how do I get over that resistance? Let's just go right into coaching these folks.
The very first thing that you need to do is really honor those feelings, because if you resist something, it keeps persisting. And that was one of the things that I needed to do was embrace it, honor it. It might seem weird, it might seem like you uncomfortable, but when you honor something and you acknowledge it, you have so much power and you're able to transform those feelings. And I resisted those feelings for the longest time, but the minute that I embraced them and I said to myself, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's coming up for me, but I can transform those thoughts. I can transform those feelings that I didn't feel good when I would look at my bank statements, or I would sometimes not even open them. And then I would get late charges, and then your interest goes higher. You end up paying more money.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things were just making me feel worse. And they were making my situation worse.
How did that, and for those of you that are just joining, thank you so much for tuning in. We are talking about the connection between confidence and finances with the debt slayer, Mari Preciado Gutierrez. So, Mari, how did that financial situation affect your confidence? Like looking at those bank statements or looking at, the debt that was up, how did that affect your confidence?
I felt like a failure. I felt like I wasn't going anywhere in life, and that really did affect my confidence. My parents came to this country from Mexico, and ever since we were kids, my dad told us about how they got here and the sacrifices that they had to make to give us a better life in this country. And I felt like I was disappointing them.
Wow, wow. And that feeling of disappointment really, and I feel that as a black gay man, that feeling of disappointment, it really permeates every area of your life. Like you feel that in every single area. And for me, when I would feel like those intense pressures or that feeling of like disappointment, it would make me shut down to where I didn't want to do anything.
Hmm.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of times people don't understand that correlation. I know for me, it was when I was looking at my finances previously, I now understand the connection between my finances and my confidence because I'm very much the type of person that wants to get up and go and do, and money allows that to happen. And I felt that when I was not able to go and be or do that, there was something wrong with me. There was
Hmm.
something wrong with me, which leads me to this question that we received. I'm going to go ahead and put it up on the screen. And it says, how can I start saving when I don't make much? Can you give us some tips on that, Mari?
Definitely, and that is a great question. One of the things that I do recommend is to look at your bank statements and your credit card statements for the past 3 months and just take an inventory of where your money is going. Oftentimes, we make purchases and we're not even really thinking about it. We're just going on autopilot, the convenience of how easy it is to buy stuff. I mean, one click away on our phone, and we're able to make a purchase on Amazon, on so many different companies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so that's going to be the very first recommendation that I have for you. And second is if you truly have a if your situation is that you don't make enough, take a look at your skills. What are you good at? And monetize on that. That's huge. Nowadays there's so many different things that you can do. If you got the great cooking skills, sell some meals. People nowadays want to buy home cooked meals. They don't want to go and get fast food. I know a lot of people who cook as a side hustle and they make very good money doing that. So there's always a way for you to increase your income. If you asking for a raise is another thing also. Be confident in yourself, be confident in your abilities and the skills and the power that you have. And that's another way that you can also increase your income. And start looking for another job too if you want.
And I was going to say, one of the things that really impressed me about your journey is how you share on Facebook how you would get up early to prepare meals so that you wouldn't go out and buy. So sometimes it's also just looking at, like you said, our spending. Because
Mhm.
for me, I'm a bachelor, I'm a single guy. Cooking for one is not the easiest or the most enjoyable. But I know, like last year, when a majority of the stuff was closed and restaurants were closed and things of that nature, I began to cook at home. And I saved more money last year than probably ever before. And
Mhm.
really interesting to see that if I would take like an hour on a Sunday and really just get in that kitchen and do what I had to do, it really allowed me to show up more confidently in the week because I wasn't rushing. I didn't have to hurry up, like, where's my meal coming from? Oh, let me order. Like everything was ready. And so it really allowed me just to show up and just be Norman. I didn't have to worry about what I was going to be eating, or if my stomach was going to be growling. I knew that I had my meal prepared, and I could go and do exactly what I showed up to do.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning that. Because I did an inventory on my expenses, I think for the year of 2017, and it was an eye opener for me when I really took a look as a whole year what I spent my money on, and I think going out to eat, I kid you not, was like $10,000
Mm-hmm.
because it
And girl,
adds up.
and for me, it will probably be even more because, like, for me, it's nothing to be like, oh, I've had a long day at work. I'll go to my favorite bar down the street that has my favorite bar food, have some cocktails. Next thing I know, I've been there for 3 hours, racked up like a $200 bill. Then I had to Uber home, and all of those little things began to add up.
Yeah, so, after you make that inventory, you take a look at the 3 months, see where you're spending your money on, and ask yourself this question: am I spending my money on things that I need or I want? You need to pay your rent, you need to pay your mortgage, you need to pay your car bill, your electricity, your gas, the utilities. But do you need to spend money on your coffee, on going out to happy hour, getting your hair and your nails done? I'm not saying don't do that, but be responsible about it. Give yourself every month a certain amount of money. You can call it your fun money account, your going out account, whatever it is that you want to call it. Put that money aside and spend that money on whatever it is that you want. If you want to get your hair done, your nails done, but you're being financially responsible. And that's the difference. And you're making those choices. You're telling your money, you're giving your money a job. Every dollar you're giving it a job. You're the one that's in charge. And when you start doing that, you change the vibration of it. You now are the person that's making the decisions on a conscious level. And when you start to do that, you start to see things in a different lens. One of my
Right.
clients just told me the other day on our coaching call that when she wants to buy something, she now weighs the options like, okay, do I really need this? Yes or no? Okay, am I going to use this? Yes. Okay, I'm going to buy it. And she doesn't feel guilty about it. Where before she would feel guilty, she would say, oh, I waste this, I waste money. And it's like, okay, let's take a look at that. What's going on? What's the process? Oh, well, I go to the store and I just buy things. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, is there a certain feeling that you are experiencing when you are, making those purchases? She said, well, not really. I haven't really been, you know, being aware of what I'm feeling. I said, okay, next time you go to the store and you buy on impulse, to take a look at how you're feeling. And so
Right.
she did. And she's like, I was feeling stressed. It's like, okay, all right. So, it's, next time you go to the store and you're feeling stressed and you're shopping, ask yourself what's going on. Like, okay, what's coming up for me? Because oftentimes we don't really ask ourselves a question of what's coming up. We feel a
Mhm.
certain emotion, we're stressed out, but we're not, like asking and centering and grounding ourselves like, okay, what's going on? Why am I feeling this way? And now that she does that, she doesn't feel the need to go shopping anymore because she's, you know, and that's hard to do, I think sometimes. You're
Yeah.
not used to it. And to really ask yourself, like, okay, what's coming up for me? What are the emotions that I'm feeling? And when you start to do that, you start to know yourself more and to know your
Right.
triggers and to honor them instead of, you know, being like, oh no, I don't want to feel that or I don't want to do this.
Right. And you know what's really interesting is we live in a society that is very work hard, play harder, right?
Mhm.
Next question comes from Shay, and it says, what are your thoughts on the saying, work hard, play hard, while trying to be debt free? I'm going to give that to you. So, Mari, so what do you say? This is a perfect coaching opportunity for Miss Shay. So, what do you tell Miss Shay that while she's trying to work hard and play hard and also be debt free, what is your coaching for her?
My coaching is having that balance is really going to help you out. You know, this is a belief that we have that we have to work hard to make money, and that's not true. You know, I think that that's something that we're taught, and it's a limiting belief that, you know, it's like you got to hustle, hustle, and grind and grind. And both you and I know that, Norman, that's not true because there's a lot of people out there that are very strategic about how they make money. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with how hard they work. And so I think that it's all about having that balance of working and allowing yourself to have fun at the same time. You can still give yourself money, set that money aside to have fun. Go out. Life is too short.
Right.
It's, you know, you should enjoy those experiences. And those experiences don't always have to cost money. Going to the beach is fun and it's free. Going hiking can also be fun and it's free. So I always think that there is a balance. You know, I was living in this space for a minute that I wasn't spending many money because I wanted to pay off my debt as soon as possible. It wasn't really working for me. And now that I have a more balanced approach, like I bought these earrings, I bought this bracelet, but I was conscious about the choices. It feels good to be able to, you know, treat yourself to stuff occasionally in a responsible way.
And you want to know what's so interesting? I shared with you earlier, and thank you so much, Shay, for that question. My grandmother was had an enormous work ethic, and to the point that I would say, even out of all of her siblings and parents, she was the most strategic with money, saving, investing, all of those things. Now, unfortunately, she didn't really pass that information on because
Hmm.
he was, working. She worked for the state. So when she retired, it was like money was just like coming in. And that's not necessarily going to be the case for many of us at the point that we stop working a traditional job. But one of the things that she always would say is she said, I buy myself something out of each check, even if it's nothing but a tube of lipstick.
Hmm.
And I have never forgotten that because she said it's not about just buying it, but it's about giving yourself the confidence and the knowledge to say that I'm working hard and I'm treating myself. And I think that sometimes it's like either one, like we either completely don't want to treat ourselves or we completely go to the opposite end of that spectrum. And exactly what you're describing is how my grandmother lived. You know, she took care of home, took care of her, bills and savings, but we would go to Macy's, on a Saturday and spend the day. And she would sit and shop and do all of these things in the other major department stores on Michigan Avenue. Like we would do those things, and so that taught me to always treat myself. But what I've learned as I've gotten older is to do that more responsibly. So maybe
Hmm.
instead of going out every weekend, maybe you pick one or two weekends, or maybe you say, instead of going out, let's have a small gathering in the house. We can't really gather the way we used to, but maybe, have a couple of friends and have some cocktails at home, or really get creative with the way that we're doing. And I think going through COVID really expanded our minds on how we can connect. Do you know, 2020 was the year of Zoom. Okay. Like I attended so many Zoom happy hours and Zoom events and gatherings, but I think like what you said is just about being responsible with that. Because for me, I would wake up with that guilt. Like, okay, yeah, I had fun last night, but like today, like maybe I feel hungover. Or, and then I look at my bank account and I spent $400 at the bar, which was not uncommon for me, which was crazy to me because I didn't even know how I was spending that amount, how I was still able to meet my obligations. So let's talk a little bit about that in terms of figuring out how and when to treat yourself and the mentality of allowing yourself to treat yourself.
Yes. So like I had mentioned before with the Fund Money account, I think that you really need to take a look at like your income, your expenses, and then what's left over. And then the amount that's left over, that's where you decide, okay, you know, 10% is going to go towards investing. Or if you decide to, you know, put that 10% in, pay yourself first. Some people, that's what they do. They pay themselves first, and then they pay their expenses, and then whatever is left over, that's where they decide where that money is going to go. And so I recommend that my clients have that, fund money account. And if you want to give yourself like two, three, four, five, $600, whatever the amount is, put that money aside and spend it on whatever it is that you want, because it's important to have a relationship with money, have a
Mhm.
relationship with yourself, and buy things that you want to buy in a responsible way. And I hear this a lot from ladies. We have a hard time buying stuff for ourselves. We
Mhm.
have no problem buying things for our kids, our husband, our parents, our siblings, and our friends. But when it comes to spending money on ourselves, we feel guilty about it sometimes, especially moms.
And that's an energetic exchange because I believe that I inherited some of that belief about money because I saw the people, like the adults around me, with that mentality that, like, I can't do for me. So, literally, girl, I would go to the store and I would put, like, some things for me and some things for other people and then put everything for me back. And
Mhm.
is an energetic exchange, and it speaks to what we believe about ourselves. And it wasn't until I understood that money was energy
Yes.
that all made sense to me. So now
Mhm.
I bless my money when it goes out. I'm so excited when I get to pay a bill. And I know that sounds crazy, but literally when I spend money, I bless it. I say I bless this money as it goes out to work for me. Like you
Oh,
said,
yes.
money has a job.
Mhm.
That's it. We have a question for Shay. Shay, can you clarify that? It says, any tips for traveling? Are you talking about spending while traveling? Could you clarify that? And I'll bring your question up onto the screen.
Okay.
But so let's talk about this. Madi, you personally, how has your confidence grown since you were able to take control of your finances and say, I'm in control, not my debt, not my finances. I run this shit.
Oh my gosh. I feel like a new person.
I
I
love it.
I used to wake up in the middle of the night stressing out about my finances. I felt a lot of guilt and shame for being in the financial position that I was in. I had mentioned previous that I felt like a failure. I felt like I had let my parents down and myself down.
Right.
So by being able to transform my finances, I was able to, you know, get that confidence back that I lost. I I found my purpose. I love helping people out, so I started to share my journey on Facebook, posting my
Mhm.
meals, giving tips out of what I was doing, and being transparent and just putting
Right.
my shit out there, my finances. That was very hard to do, but there was so
Right.
much power with doing that. So then people started to message me like, "What are you doing? Tell me more." And then the light bulb went on, and then I became a part of the Powerhouse Academy with Chandra Brooks, and that's really where there was like this shift, this like switch that went on, and I was determined to help others out and also make it my side hustle. And interesting, I just kept learning more and more information, and that's when
Right.
I started to coach other people. But when I started my entrepreneur journey, I had to face a lot of my fears and my doubts that I had.
Mhm.
I think as entrepreneurs, you start to have those doubts like, oh, am I really good enough? Am I really able to do this? And that's what I faced. And it's been such a beautiful journey because overcoming all of those limiting beliefs that I had about myself has been so liberating. Like, I feel great about myself. If someone wants to, you know, say something negative about me, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's okay. It's not going to
Mhm.
affect me. And
Right,
before, I used to take things so personal. If somebody said a negative comment, I would let it ruin my day or my week.
right. Oh, okay. So now, okay, shades clarified. Thank you so much, Boo. Okay, so this is what she says, and I know that is correct. She said she's asking about planning a trip, hotels, restaurants, tours. Should you shop around, look for mom and pops? Because I find myself going big sometimes, 4-star hotels, restaurants, because I feel I deserve it. First of all, let me just say this, Shay, you definitely deserve that.
Hmm.
Tell you, for me, it feels good when I've been working. Like for me, I'll try to plan like one nice trip every year. And I'll take a couple mini trips, like I'll maybe go to LA or Phoenix or something like that. But I try to plan one big trip. And my sister is a miracle worker when it comes to this, because she'll be like, okay, great. I just got off this vacation. She'll start planning already for her next one. So basically, so a year, so she literally has a year, and she's putting money aside to plan and do exactly what she wants to do, so that you're not coming up with a lump sum altogether. So Mari, I'll give this back to you. What do you say to the person who was like, I always go, 4 and 5 stars, which is fine. I love 4 and 5 stars. But about what advice would you have to give to someone who wants to, as she said, to be debt free? She's working hard, but also wants to vacation well.
I say do it and go hard on it. It's okay. If you start planning a trip ahead of time, you can get amazing deals. Costco has really great deals as well. So I would say plan ahead, shop around, and also ask the universe to give you an amazing deal. That's so empowering when you speak what it is that you want into existence.
Yeah.
I've gotten really great deals at different hotels. We went to Hawaii and we had a really beautiful view. And so you can do it. You can go on trips, you can be responsible, and you can still pay your debt.
And you know what's interesting? So a lot of everyone that really knows me knows this, that I'm obsessed with Mexico. I literally go there. Aside from last year, I had to cancel 2 trips. Um, but I went. Oh, she says, "Oh, thank you, Shay." She says, "Perfect. Thank you. Thank you
Oh,
for tuning in." For me, I like a different experience when I go to Mexico, right? So when I go to Puerto Vallarta, I could stay at Almar or one of these big resorts, but I found a little hotel that I absolutely love called Hotel Tropicana, and it's right in the Zona Romantica, and it's a little tiny older hotel with big rooms, and like literally you step out of your room into the pool, and then from the pool you step down into the beach. And I got that room for like $37 a night. Now,
mhm.
again, this is translated into the peso, but I just find, like, for me, I love doing research on other things. Like, yeah, we can go to Marriott or, Hard Rock or whatever. But this hotel that I found, I canceled a trip because they didn't have availability. Because when I go to Puerto Vallarta, I like staying there. And like when I go to Guadalajara, I stay in La Casa Alabrijes. They only have 9 rooms, but it is so, like, the way I feel, is so beautiful, and it steps away from all of the action. So I definitely say take your time and plan it out, and really go through the reviews,
Yes.
because in my industry, a lot of the reviews are negative because you piss somebody off. But really go through the reviews and read what they're complaining about, what, like, really do that. And that's how I found Hotel Tropicana. That's how I found the Casa
Mhm.
Then we went on a driving tour through Los Ayala and down through like all of this. And we literally parked on the street and just walked from hotel to hotel. And that was so liberating for me. So it's also, it's like you want to plan, but also you want to leave a little bit like to really experience where you're going. And that like those moments for me, like I look back at those memories and I went with my ex-husband's family and it was a whole group of us. We had a Suburban. We drove from Guadalajara and all around. And just that experience was so beautiful, like going from hotel to hotel. It was crazy. I feel like it's just really important to do your homework, do your research, and do what makes you feel happy. Like for me, I don't need all the bells and whistles. Like sometimes I want that and it's cool. But like when I go to Mexico, like I want to be in a place where I can like open my door and go to the taqueria. You know what I'm saying? Or open my door and be on the beach or what have you. So thank you so much for bringing that up, Shay.
Yes. You just brought me beautiful memories. I actually stayed near the hotel that you stayed at. We stayed at Casa Susana. It's also like
Oh
a
yeah, right down.
yes. Yes. And I've stayed at the five-star resorts, the Fiesta, what's it called? I forget what it's called. And I loved it because you get, served like you're a king or a queen. Everything is, all you can eat, all you can drink. They cater to you. I loved that experience, but there's nothing like being in La Zona Romantica. You have the Mercado nearby. You have all these
Girl,
great places to go out to eat.
everything. And what was crazy
Yes.
is I didn't even spend much time in my room.
No.
It was like, okay, why am I paying for all of this? And I'm out here anyway. I was at the Blue Chairs restaurant, the bar down here, walking down the beach, meeting new people. I love blondies and PV. I love blondies going over there. Um, and I mean, just all of the different restaurants and shops. And what I love personally about PV, it is just so gay to me.
Yes.
Like, it is such a gay friendly location. And what I've seen there that I've not seen in many other places is there were so many different family styles. So you would have like a heterosexual family with their kids, and then like a gay couple with their kids, and then like me just wild and single. And then, like it was so many different types of people and family structures that I thought was so beautiful. And to answer your question, Shay, crossing my fingers. I'm hoping June for my 35th, but we got to see. We got
Oh, yes. I love it. I'm
so,
gonna come to
Marty,
the party.
as we begin to get ready to close down, I really want you to speak to the person that is like, I'm scared to start, or I'm scared to acknowledge what comes up when I'm spending. Can give that person 3 tips on how to use their confidence to overcome their financial fears?
Hmm. First, I would say you have to love yourself and know that you are amazing. I think that's the first thing that a person really needs to do is to embrace the relationship that you have with yourself because it's the most important relationship, and be more compassionate with yourself. And I think also celebrate your small wins.
Mhm.
Oftentimes we focus on the big picture, or we focus on, the end, which is great. It's good to have a
Right,
vision, and it's good to be crystal clear on what it is that you want. But don't forget everything that happens here in
right,
between the start and the finish,
right,
because this is where the growth happens. This is where you face the shit that sucks, the
right,
stuff that's holding you back. And
right.
there's so much power, and you really get to know who you truly are
Hmm, hmm.
when you work on yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And what I will end with my family is number one, know that you're the shit already. Okay. Wherever you're at financially, I've really had to cause myself to think of things a lot differently because during COVID, a lot of things changed, right? Even the way well, that's something completely different. I'm not even gonna open that Pandora's box. But you're the shit already.
Yes.
You have to understand that. Number two is everything can be repaired. As long as we are living and breathing, we can pivot and transition. The last thing is that the first step is the hardest. First time you put that money in the savings account instead of going to out, that's hard. The first time when you're in the kitchen and you don't really like to cook, but you're trying to cook to save money so that you can make that stretch, that's hard. But understand, it's like the first step is like 8 feet tall. And then after that, you just got a couple inches. So it's like once you get to that, over that first step, it does get easier, but it's like a muscle. You have to practice on it. You have to be intentional, which is something that, we've learned in the Powerhouse about being intentional, and understand that it's not going to be perfect. You may write that budget out and make it in Excel, and you may, not meet that exactly. But like Madi said, don't beat yourself up about that. Allow yourself the grace and the space to do better. And all know that you have people out here that can support you and assist you. So speaking of that, Madi, how can people connect with you? And really quick, talk a little bit about the services that you offer to your clients and how they can connect with you.
So right now I have a 12-week group coaching program. It's called Birthing Your Financial Goddess. It's going to start on March 20th. It's a 12-week program. I'm partnering up with another money coach. So that's one way that you can work with me. You can also work with me on a one-on-one basis as well. I'm going to have a workshop on February 28th. It's ways to increase your money relationship. So it's very important to have a relationship with money. Sometimes we don't understand that, we have to have a relationship with money. We have to cultivate it. Just like your relationship with your significant other, you cultivate it, you have good communication, the same applies to money. So I invite you all for February 28th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I will post the details, and it's a free workshop. So I invite you all to that. And if you want to connect with me, you can send me a direct message on Facebook, and we can have a conversation and chat.
Awesome. I am so excited about that February 28th. So for everyone that's watching, or watching the replay, Madi will get that information to me, and I will make sure to disperse that in my on the comments and also on the Over the Top Living page. So if you want to connect with me, baby, we have a lot going on. So we've got my book. Okay, I'm going to spend just a moment talking about that. I wrote my first book, and it is entitled Over the Top Living, Walking in Next Level Confidence Every Damn Day. I am so excited. Shout out to Levi Walker of Levi Walker Studios, who was my photographer. Shout out to Shireen Rivera and Rising Above Publishing, who have made this experience so amazingly easy. But the book is out March 21st. We are doing a book launch here in Las Vegas on April 10th. And I will be having a small signing in Chicago on March 21st. Also, starting March 1st, I'm doing another I Am Confident 5-day challenge. And I am so excited about this. So last time, I only opened it up to my friends. And I had 30 people sign up, and I was like, this is awesome. So I've done that again. So if you look at the post about the 5-day challenge, it doesn't have the little globe because it's not public. I'm only sharing this with my friends because after the book comes out, that challenge will be public. So if you are interested, go to talk.overthetopliving.com and schedule a time. Let's chat. But let's do it now. add you into the free and exclusive Facebook group, and we are going to do the work. The women and well, all of the people that partnered with me on this last one, it was so amazing to see that transformation that happened within 5 days. Like, it was insane. If you do the work, you will leave this challenge more confident. So that is on March 1st. So send me a DM, email me, or just go to talk.overthetopliving.com and we will get you covered. If you want to get on the list for the pre-sale of my book, you will go to overthetopliving.com, scroll to the bottom, and enter your email address. You are going to get first rights of purchase, I guess, as you would call it. If you give me your email address, you will know ahead of time so that you can get your order. Folks, I'm telling you, this book is going to remind you of who the fuck you are. So you do not want to miss out on this book. So again, that's just overthetopliving.com. Scroll to the bottom and put in your email address. So y'all, you already know who it is, but I don't give you a slight reminder. It's your best friend, your good Judy, your next door neighbor, your niece, your cousin, your great auntie, your gunkle, and now I am an author. I am Norman J. Liverpool IV, the founder of Over the Top Living and the Confident Lifestyle Coach. Thank you to Mari Preciado Gutierrez, who is the debt slayer, honey. I'm talking about slashing these debts. So I invite you to reach out to her. I will have the details of her workshop that's going to be on February 28th. And then we'll also give you the information if you want to enroll in that 12-week program that's starting on March 20th. Just know that on the 21st, my book comes out. So you got to make sure that you take a pause and get my book. But anyway, y'all, we thank you so much for tuning in. And we will see you next Thursday for another Cocktails and Coaching.
Thank you for having me, Norman. I'm so honored to be here today. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Wait, we have one comment before we leave. Oh, yes, you too. Oh, that's our other powerhouse sister. Okay, so Jazz, we need to, okay, so I'm already getting an idea for next week.
Yes.
Jazz, reach out to you. But anyway, y'all, thank you so much for being here. And remember, share this video. It might not be for you, but there might be someone in your network that needs it. So I invite you to share. All right, friends, you are the shit. Get up and act like it. Bye, friends.
Yes.